So the other day I was at work and I was talking with my coworker, and we were talking a little bit about death, and he ended up saying to me that he personally believes that death is, as he put it, the end of the story. Nothing happens when you die. You die, it's all over, there's no consciousness, there's no reincarnation, there's no heaven, there's no anything. It's just end of the line, end of the story, as he put it. Very common outlook and perspective on death. And I am somebody who, first of all, I don't know what happens when we die. He doesn't either. I don't either. We're in the same boat, essentially. But I personally feel that the possibility of something happening after death is very much so there. Very much so is probable and possible that something could happen when this body dies. So when he said, nothing happens when we die, it's the end of the story, I felt this knee-jerk reaction to argue with him, to tell him, well, to lay on him my whole mind trip of how I feel about death. But something in me stopped me prior to engaging with him in a friendly argument about what I feel death is all about. And what it was that stopped me from saying anything to him about it was essentially a one-liner that just suddenly occurred to me, and it said, he's allowed to think that. It was this recognition. I said, oh, okay, I see. It was this recognition. He's allowed to think differently than me. And the point of this video is to sort of inquire into what is this, as I call it, knee-jerk reaction to want to have some sort of rebuttal with someone to try to convert them into what you believe in. From where I'm standing and the way that I look at it, the reason I feel a knee-jerk reaction to tell my coworker how I feel about death in the hopes of getting him to believe in what I believe to be the whole situation with death, where that's coming from is an insecurity in my own belief system. I'm essentially arguing with him or anybody where someone says something that we don't personally agree with, so then we feel this reaction to want to argue with them to align their beliefs and their mind and their perspectives with how we feel things to be. And we're doing this out of an insecurity because we feel that if someone doesn't believe in what we believe in, that means that there's a possibility that we're wrong. And that if someone else isn't saying that what I think is real, that means that I might be wrong. So what I need to do is go around as much as I can, and this is the two types of people. One person is going to go around and they're going to try to essentially argue with everybody to attempt to try to convert them into how they see things to be, to make them feel more secure in their belief system. The other person, what they're going to do is they're going to see what a majority of people think, and they're going to adhere to what that majority thinks so that they feel secure in what they feel things to be. They're going to... There's different types of individuals in this scenario that I'm talking about, where one person's going to argue how they feel about things till they're red in the face with everybody to try and get everybody else to believe in what they believe in so that they feel a sense of legitimacy and viability in what they believe reality to be. Another person is going to look at what most people believe in, look at what a majority of people believe in, and sort of adhere to it and say, yeah, that's what I think too. I don't want to stray from that group because I don't want to stand out. I don't want to be different. I don't want to be challenged in what I believe reality to be. So I'm going to believe what all these others say reality is. The other individual Just for example, say I'm talking with my coworker, we're talking about death. He says nothing happens when you die. I personally believe something happens when we die. We go to another dimension, we're reincarnated, whatever it is. In this scenario, I'm someone who believes something happens after death. But instead of telling him that, I say, yeah, right, wow, interesting. And I sort of keep the peace, as you could put it, because I don't want to put forth my belief system, because not only do I not want to challenge what he thinks about reality, but I don't want him to challenge me. So I sort of, as I said a moment ago, keep the peace in the situation. Wow, yeah, right, nothing happens when we die, yeah. Even though, behind the scenes, I personally feel something happens when we die. You see what I'm saying? I'm attempting to keep the peace so that he doesn't judge and rip apart what I think reality is all about. Even though I don't agree with him, I'm not going to let him know that, because I don't want him to make me feel insecure in my reality. And then the flip side of that is agreeing with him because I don't want to make him feel insecure in what he thinks reality is all about. I hope this is making sense the way I'm putting this. The real moral of this video, the point of this video that I'm trying to get across is, first of all, these different reasons as to why we will. There's this the reason you feel that knee-jerk reaction to argue with somebody when they do something or say something is because of a insecurity, essentially, in how you feel about things. Where the reason you're arguing with them is because you don't feel like there's legitimacy in what you feel things to be, unless you have a big group of people who think the same way, who think in a parallel way as you do, you know? So when someone says something that you don't agree with, you feel inclined to argue with them to try to convert them into what you think reality is, so that you feel a reinforcement of truth and legitimacy in what you feel reality to be. Other people are shy to speak what they think and to speak their mind and to share how they feel about things, because, like I was saying a moment ago, they don't want to stand out, they don't want to seem weird, they want to keep the peace. They don't want to create turmoil between different perspectives, you know? But the real point I'm trying to make in this video is it's okay to think differently than people. Whether you share your differing beliefs between someone and other people, you know what I'm saying? Whether you share that stuff with other people or not is up to you. But essentially the real root of what I'm trying to say here is it's okay to think differently than people. Back to my story of me and my coworker. He tells me nothing happens after death. I feel a knee-jerk reaction to argue with him and say, well, this is what I think. And instead of acting on that impulse, I realize he's allowed to think that. I don't need to put my 2 cents in on what I think happens when we die, because why am I doing that? It's one thing to share your thoughts in a sort of healthy, wholesome, fun, sophisticated conversation with someone where you're really exploring perspectives. But it's another thing to sort of come at someone because you feel like your sense of reality is being challenged, so you need to try to prove your point. Show them what's really going on. Tell them how it really is. Because not only do you feel... It's weird, it's kind of like paradoxical. Not only do you feel righteous in what you believe in, but also there's an insecurity in that, where if he doesn't believe in what I think reality means, that means that I might be wrong. So I need to do my best to get him to think what I think, so that what I think seems and feels more real and legitimate to me. So that's the real point of this video, is to say it's okay to think differently than people. And like I said a moment ago, whether you argue with someone or don't share your perspectives because you want to keep the peace, or if you talk openly and mutually with people about the differing beliefs that you share with one person and another person. That's up to you, but it's okay to think differently than people. And that's part of what makes life so complex and so interesting. It would be pretty weird and boring if we all thought and believed the same thing, especially if it was because we were all scared to speak our minds. So that's the real point I want to make in this video. Is it's okay to think differently than people. And when someone thinks differently than you, they're allowed to think that. You don't need to feel some sort of anxiety to argue with them, to make them think what you think. It's alright. It's alright. You know what I mean? If you're secure in what you feel and what you believe to yourself, your perspectives, your morals, your beliefs, how you feel about that shouldn't be dependent on and determined by what other people think of you and what other people think of the world and life and death and society and spirituality or whatever, what have you. If you feel confident, good, loving, right, grounded in what you believe, don't worry if you're a black sheep. You know what I'm saying? Don't worry if there's not a lot of people that think like you. Because we don't know, we don't really know what's going on here. We don't know who's right and who's wrong. A lot of people think they're right and others are wrong and stuff. And when you feel like you're wrong, you sort of convert to the religion of someone else's perspective and paradigm of thinking. We don't really know what's going on here, so inquire into how you feel about things. Educate yourself on what you think life is, what you think, develop your own structures of belief, perspective, opinion, but don't enforce it on people. Don't try to convert everybody to what you think, and don't get weird when someone doesn't think what you think, because it's okay that they don't think what you think. They don't need to. You don't need them to. If you're chilling in what you feel things to be, that's alright. It's just someone who doesn't think what you think. And there's no really big deal to it, aside from you thinking they're wrong, or you're perhaps wrong. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't really matter. Allow yourself to be what you are. Allow others to be what they are. People are always going to be different. We're never really going to be the same as far as our personality and mind and beliefs and all that good stuff goes. So just allow people. Allow yourself. Allow society. Allow others. People are allowed to be what they are. And when you allow not only yourself to be what you are, but others to be what they are, things go a lot more smoother. It's not going to seem like an argumentative situation. And if you're in that sort of calm, selfless space with someone where you're not putting to them your beliefs because they should believe what you believe, or you're not hiding behind, just trying to keep the peace with someone because you don't want to make stuff weird, or you're insecure that what you think is going to be judged by them, so you're not sharing how you feel. If you're in a selfless space, the ability to share what you think and with someone else is not only more probable, but it will come from a place of love, confidence, clarity, and lack of judgment, where you don't need them to believe in what you just said. You were just saying it. And I feel like in that space, coming from that space, the potential for someone to see different ways of looking at life is much greater. So I don't want to drag this on. I just wanted to share these thoughts with you guys real quick. I hope you get what I'm saying. I hope you enjoyed. And I will see you all later. Namaste.